Hello everyone and welcome back. Alex here, and today I'm going to go into the second part of my guide in coming out to LowSec and really how to set up shop when you come out to LowSec. Now my first video I kind of touched on a few points of really to get started in LowSec, namely two things. One is where to go in LowSec, the big place being kind of avoiding faction warfare zones unless you want to do faction warfare. Outside of that, you want to look for quieter places that you can operate. The second part is having good cloaking skills and to be able to operate cloaking ships. So in the last video, I mentioned operating blockade runners, which can allow you to move materials and even some ships back and forth from low sec to high sec with relative safety. The second part is being able to fly another kind of ship, and that is the one you see here, the Covert Op Ship. Now this is a buzzard. This is the Caldari Covert Op Ship. And the reason I say you need a Covert Op Ship is because a lot of what makes LowSec very profitable comes from scanning and comes from being able to scan different types of cosmic signatures and being able to exploit those signatures. Now, that is not strictly just for people that are explorers, although that is a big part of it. The easiest way or the easiest point of entry to really start your career or really start your life in LowSec is exploration. But exploration can be really hit or miss. It really depends on what you find. Now, I'm not sure, and maybe someone can correct me in the comments, but I believe that the number of signatures that are generated by the EVE Online server is tied to the amount of traffic that's in the area, and that's why I think you'll find more signatures in LowSec than you find in NullSec. NullSec, I've gone through several systems where there were no signatures at all, or it was one, or maybe two, something like that. Unless you're in a NullSec and they actually have a signature generator as part of the infrastructure hub. But if you're in that area and you're not part of the alliance, you're probably not a very welcome guest. But in LowSec, there is enough traffic going around in the day to generate a pretty decent number of signatures. And those signatures can be things such as wormholes. It can be things such as combat sites. The big one for explorers, of course, are data and relic sites. It can also be gas sites, so such as either gaseous clouds, which is good for miners, or it can be kind of a combat quasi exploration site, which are illegal booster sites or booster manufacturing sites that have blueprints that you can grab. Of course, the value varies back and forth. It depends how popular that particular booster is. There are also several things that are unique to LowSec that you cannot find in either NullSec, Wormhole space, or HighSec. And those are namely ghost sites and besieged covert research sites. They are unique to LowSec. Now, you're not going to be able to run those sites with the Covert Op Ship that you see here. This is way too flimsy. You're going to need a particular ship, either a heavily tanked combat ship, either battle cruiser or above, or a Tech 3 strategic cruiser to be able to run those sites effectively and by solo. Okay, so that is just kind of the surface of the iceberg when it comes to LowSec and what you'll be able to do out here. But in order to take advantage of a lot of that, you really need to be able to scan and get good at scanning. So whether you use a dedicated ship such as the Covert Op ships or the Tech 1 variants, the exploration vessels, they can really get you started. Now, if you're a new player to EVE Online and you're coming out to LowSec for the first time, you probably don't have the funds or the skills right off the bat to be able to live out here with a Covert Op ship or a blockade runner. You can still get away with using a Tech 1 ship, just realize that you won't be able to warp cloak and you won't be able to transit between LowSec and HighSec with safety when you go across a blockade group. So that's the risk you run, and that's why I suggest before you come into LowSec, you really learn how to fly the Covert Op Ship and you learn how to use the scanning equipment, and you try and really get your scanning skills to a high level. And scanning is not that difficult. It's actually the one area here, as soon as it comes up, that's thinking about, okay, there it is. It's actually the one area that you can actually maximize fairly quickly. There are not that many skills in this area, and you don't need to have them all maxed out. Just getting up to level 4 is really good. Again, things such as hacking or archaeology, you can get to level 5, and that allows you to use the Tech 2 scanning modules, and that would be great as well. So, and that just makes life a whole lot easier. And for some reason, this thing is not closing. Anyways, so that being said, let's head outside here and we'll take a look. Better than station spinning or looking at my character sheet, which doesn't seem quite to load properly right now. I don't know why. Alright, let's minimize that. Okay, if I can't close it, I can minimize it. So anyways, so here I'm in the Untitled system. It's a 0.2 system in Molden Heath. Now, this is a fairly quiet area, although that's debatable because Eggbringer, which is right next door, is a transit point to Nullsec. And that tends to be they have a pretty decent pirate presence at that point, or Nullsec community presence, depending on your flavor. And that can be something you need to keep an eye on. But right now, it's quiet. It's a local. Local's just me, and I'm just out here alone. Now, in a Covert Op Ship, let's see, I'm still 2,000 meters. Let's just get out to a planet here. This is not going to be a scanning guide. I just want to show just initial flavor when you come out here, what to expect when you have a Covert Op Ship. This should be the first ship that you fly out here. Don't even fly your blockade runner out here until you get your Covert Op Ship out here. And this is where you can really start to look at some of the things to set up shop with. One of the important things is not to deploy your own citadel, okay? I know it's great, you can have your own base, you can get better benefits, but really use the stations when you set up shop for the first time. First of all, if you're a one-man corporation or a small corporation, if you bring a citadel out here, it's going to be even harder to defend than even in high sec, okay? And there are plenty of groups out here that would love to pew-pew, just Freeport citadel stations and blow them out of the stars or hold them for ransom. And actually, we got a friendly traveler here. He's blinking quite nicely there. He's Manifesto, minus 1.8. These are the guys you're going to have to really watch out for when you're out in low sec. So, and these are the type of guys that are going to blow up your citadel if you deploy a citadel. So the nice thing about the stations out here is that they cannot be conquered, and you can have a safe operating base to do some very basic things, same things you can do in high sec, and they can't be taken over. Yes, they're not going to be as efficient as citadels, but don't deploy a citadel at first. It will be money down the drain if you can't find a way to properly defend it. Okay, so with that aside, let's open up the scanning window here. And you'll see that actually in just this system, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, there are 5 cosmic signatures. And there are also this large number of anomalies. Any system that you go into, you're going to have a large number of anomalies, particularly combat sites. Now, these sites you need a combat ship to do. They can be quite dangerous to do, and this is probably, again, another separate video. But long story short, because they're anomalies, they can be found by any ship that even remotely opens up the scanning window. They can be warped to directly, which means you can be attacked directly. So if you go after some of these combat sites, just make sure that you take appropriate precautions. You keep your eye on local. You stay aligned. You may even want some more core stabilizers. Yes, it reduces your combat performance, but maybe you can use a missile ship and get away with that. Again, that'll be a different video, but just realize that this is where you're going to be pretty vulnerable, because any kind of ship that comes into the system can warp directly to you. While here with the cosmic signatures, they actually have to scan you down, and that gives you a window of opportunity to flee, because just as you need to find the cosmic signatures, so do they. And once you see probes, either combat probes or even survey probes coming up, you know you have time to get out of dodge as long as you keep your eyes looking out for them. So that's the important thing. So combat sites here, again, I would highly recommend that you don't do these at first until you get your legs, down on the ground here and you know what to do. Okay, so now let's go back to signatures. So starting off, let's open up the solar system map. And you got your equipment, you got your data analyzers, and you can deploy your probes. And you can see what's in the system here. And actually, we can go down to 8 AU, run and analyze, and also turn back on the cloaking device. And this is the other nice thing. You can stay cloaked while you scan. Now, this is not a huge benefit because even with the Tech 1 frigate, you can do a safe spot in the middle of the system and park yourself there. Again, they have to find you. You're a smaller ship, which means you're not easy to find. But with a Covert Op Ship, you're unfindable, basically. So it's just a bit more safety. Okay, so we have a whole bunch of signatures here. Now, when you come in and you do this kind of exploration, you need to know what you're going to go after. If you try to go after everything, if you try to exploit everything, be able to do everything, you won't be able to do anything effectively. You won't be able to do anything at your maximum skill unless you're someone like myself that has been playing the game essentially from launch and you have skills that are maxed out to do just about everything. But odds are, if you're a newer player, you don't have those kind of skills, or you don't have those skills up to a very high level that is probably necessary to run some of these signatures. It's better to focus on one type of signature and be able to do that. So let's bring it down a size here and let's analyze. So we're going to do a range of 4 AU. And really what I want to do is just get an idea of what these cosmic signatures are. Okay, so here's the first one. This is a wormhole. And exploiting wormholes is a very tricky task because these wormholes can go anywhere. They can go back to high sec, which actually gives you a great way to move your goods if you find something that you want to move back to high sec in order to sell it off at Jita or Mar or Renz or the Dixie. This is a great way to circumvent any kind of blockades or pirate gate camps. Or it can go out to other places than low sec, or it can go out to null sec and just about anywhere, which can present some very unique opportunities. And of course, it can also go into wormhole space, and you can go down that rabbit hole and just see what is really available. But for right now, I'm not really interested in wormholes, so I can actually ignore this result and just find out what's next here. So I'm going to actually do my launch point configuration, and this will help determine exactly what these are. So I'm going to analyze again, and really I just need a strong enough signature to find out what they are. If there's something I like, then I can pinpoint it. If it's something I don't like, then I can ignore it and move on. Okay, so we got one over here. Again, I'm not intending this to be a scanning tutorial. There are better videos than this in order to do scanning, but this just shows some of the activity that you'll be doing out in low security space and really to take advantage of it. And this is probably one of the easier ways to get into low security space, is be able to figure out what these signatures are, and if they're a data or relic signature that you can take advantage of it, get some pretty good loot and bring them back. Okay, next one. So we got a gas site here. Let's figure out what this one is. Let's go bring it in. Now this tells me this could be a drug manufacturing site, or could be a Rapture Nebula. Let's take a look. Alright, so we're at a pretty high level here, so let's bring this in as a half AU. And let's see what this is. So it's an Angel Chemical Lab. So that is, again, it's kind of a quasi-combat site, but also with some containers as well. I don't have a combat ship out here, so I'm going to leave that be for the moment. Although I can record it. I'm going to save this location, put in my own corporation here, and I'll keep that for any other character or anyone else in my corporation. If I was running a corporation other than myself, they can take advantage of those sites if those sites are still up. So maybe I can't take advantage of them, but maybe someone else can. Or you can even sell some of these signatures. A lot of times people don't want to go through the hassle of trying to find these things. You can say, hey, I found this, this, and this. I found a wormhole to this type of wormhole space, or I found a wormhole to nullsec that is brand new. Information can be sold. And maybe you can find a willing audience that you can sell the information to. Of course, they'll have to trust you with the information, but if it's good, maybe you can really take the role of an explorer and sell information. Okay, so let's see what this one is. I'm going to expand this one out. We're going to go from here. Now, key thing about cosmic signatures, though, is that as long as you do not warp to them, you don't trigger their timer for them to expire. Now, they do expire naturally, but if you actually warp to the site, then they're going to expire within about, I think, 2 hours or so at that point. While if you don't warp to them, then they'll be there for their full natural duration. So when you see a cosmic signature that you want to go to, make sure you go to it when you're ready to go. So if you see something like an Angel Chemical Lab, go Google Angel Chemical Lab online and see exactly what you're going to run into, because what you don't want to do is go into the lab, oh my god, I don't have the right ship, or I don't have the right resistances, I gotta go back, get another ship, get the right resistances, come back, and by that point it may already be half expired or could already be gone at that point. So that's something you want to be careful about. Alright, so let's go here. So let's move this down. I'm going to tighten it up here. So it's either going to be there or there. Okay, so probably not there. It's probably going to be up here. Yeah, I was kind of guesstimating, but it looks like I guesstimated wrong. So let's move over here. I'll take a look at this one. Now, you should always keep your local window open. Always. I mean, this should just be second happen. Never close your local window. It is the best source of intelligence that you have to protect yourself. Okay, so here's another wormhole. Okay, I'm going to, again, ignore that one. And I'm going to come over here. The other thing is about reading the locals in nullsec. You have to assume that everyone is hostile. So if I open up ZX top here, or ZZ top, yeah, he's got 5 security standing. Would I trust this guy? No, because security status, particularly with the introduction of tags, can be bought. The thing you really want to take more of a close look is their bounty. Do they have any bounties on them? Now that can be manipulated as well, but it's not as easily manipulated as security status. So if you see someone who's clearly flashy, bad, and has a big bounty on, obviously they're a pirate. But I have been ganked quite a number of times by people that were pirates that had positive security status, quite a lot. All you need are some tags, or just do quite a lot of ratting, or do some of these combat sites. You can get your security status up fairly quickly. So really take security status with a grain of salt, if that. Okay, so we got another gas site here. Let's take a look at it. And really a type of gas site I want to find, if you can really find it, is the Rapture Nebula. What I don't want is the Ghost Nebula. The Ghost Nebulas are essentially worthless. Anything that has Michael Sarin is not too good. Okay, an Eagle Nebula. Alright. That's that one could be valuable there. Let's hold on to that one. So I'm going to save this location. Dump it in there. And let's see, last but not least. So if you're going to be doing gas mining, again, that should be part of my mining series. When you come out here, if you want to do mining, the big one you want to find out as a gas miner are clouds of cycloserine. The clouds of mycoserine, beginning with an M, are worthless because they only do synthetic boosters. Let's see here. Let's expand it out. And synthetic boosters are almost never used. They're okay, but they give a small benefit, but there are no drawbacks. Cycloserine gases, however, are much more valuable, and they can be used in several processes as well as much stronger boosters. And combat boosters are nice to have. They're a really interesting gameplay mechanic. Yes, you do pay money for them, but they can really give you a real advantage and a real disadvantage depending on the side effects. Okay, and it's another wormhole. Okay, so right here is what, as a new player coming into LowSec, as an explorer, these are the things you're going to be kind of doing. And being able to know which ones you can exploit and which ones you can't and which ones you need to leave alone, that really depends on how long you stay in LowSec, if you're going to be just staying temporarily or you really intend to move out here, and also what your skill set is. EVE Online really is a game where you need to focus your development early on, and that's tough to do because as the type of gameplay you do in EVE Online switches around, like you could be running missions at first, and then you could be in Alliance, and then you could be doing piracy after that, and then you can be in Wormhole space. The needs of your skills are all going to change, particularly if you're in Alliance or in a corporation that has certain fleet doctrines that you need to be able to fly X ship, you need to be able to fit X equipment. You know, that's also going to determine the skills that you have. But if you're more on your own, or you have a lot of flexibility, if you come out to LowSec and you really want to get the most of it, it's better to come in with an idea of what you want to do and tailor your skills for that. And the easiest point of entry, in my opinion, is exploration, which I've done here. Earlier tonight, I found a good data site, and I got some nice decryptors and some data cores from that. A day or two ago, I found both a great data site and a relic site, and I got a lot of stuff in there, and I made 30-40 million-esque just off those two sites. And that's a pretty decent haul, actually. So I am going to get my probes back here, and I'm going to dock up. Now, this is just one system out of many. And if you find something like this, then you go to the next system. But when you come into LowSec, you need to be able to exploit these type of things. And then what I mean by exploiting, what do you do after that? Okay, if you're only looking for radar or relic sites, or data sites and relic sites, then you need to be able to have the right modules, namely the relic analyzer and the data analyzer. And you just go for those sites, and everything else you see, as I did here, you ignore, whether the gas sites, the wormhole sites, the combat sites, besieged covert research sites, or things like that. Or if you're more of a combat pilot and you have a nice combat ship, it's like, you know what, I want to run maybe some of these combat sites, or maybe even the combat anomalies. Okay, go and find a combat site and be able to run it with your ship, which could also escalate as well. There are several of these that can escalate and go to a multi-part combat mission. The next thing is you can also be ready to do wormholes and be able to exploit different things in different areas of EVE. And being able to operate in wormhole space is a big one as well. And there we go. So that is my kind of initial poke at coming out here. You want to come out here and have a Covert Op ship available where you can do these things in relative safely. Again, relative is a terminology that you need to be careful of, because once you are doing data and relic sites, or you're doing any kind of type of content that requires a cosmic signature, you can still be found. someone can still scan you down and they can still kill you. So you have to make sure you keep your scanning window open. But as long as local is clear or there's one or two and you keep your eyes out for probes, you won't be found. And that is probably the safest way to come into LowSec at first and just set up shop. Find a nice station, make it your home base. It should have a lot of nice things for you here. Again, it has all your standard stuff here, reprocessing, whatnot. And also make sure it has a clone bay, because if you get potted, you want to be able to come back here and not get slung on the other side of HiSec, basically, and have to tail your way back. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, this is just my first iteration on getting your feet wet and come into LowSec, and really kind of maybe a good entry point for new players when they come to LowSec. I do recommend exploration at first, and then stepping out from there as they get more used to being in LowSec. All right, take care, guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.